Hello, Aries. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back. As always, if you like what you hear, feel free to like, subscribe, share with others. Let's see what's going on. Let's start light candle and clear the area a little bit. Spirit is telling me that for the Aries collective, there's some sort of an upgrade happening with your spirituality. This means that there can be, they're saying that there can be an influence on your spirit by the collective unconscious. That implies that there's going to be an increase in your psychic ability. It's not that you haven't been psychic before, it's just that there's going to be, call it an upgrade, if you will. There's some sort of an advancement. And I have a feeling that this is going to be for everybody on the planet. Apparently, because they're saying that there's going to be an advancement for your race. And I don't think that they're calling Aries a race. They're calling it like humankind. There's an advancement for humankind. So there you go. I wasn't planning on doing a reading for the collective, but here we are. So I was planning on doing a reading for each of the signs, and you can still do that. Just do one at a time. So, okay, I guess we're going to do one at a time, but all right. As usual, I'm not in charge. You're like you are in charge. We're just delivering messages as we see fit. So, like, okay, here we go. All right. So, what do we want to do then? All right. All right. So, we're going to start with Aries, yes, and saying proceed as you're going to. So, oh, all right then. So, first things first, we're going to start with what is happening for Aries. It's going to be so we're going to see what's happening for the general collective. See what's happening for the general collective. And I think that this is going to be for really everybody on the planet. So eyes of the eagle, rising above the fray. So that is a message about raising your vibration. Like the whole planet raising the vibration. Fortune's wheel, luck and right timing. So this is really giving us an eye view, right, of the eagle. And with an eagle view, it's like it's above the fray, right? It's like there's all this drama going down, going on down on the planet and whatever, and the eagle being up here has a higher perspective. So just want to make sure it's on. I have using a mic today. I was trying to record before and it wasn't, the sound wasn't coming out so great. So here we are. Fortune's wheel, luck and right timing. So I think that Jupiter is having an effect on us right now. Jupiter is in the sign of Taurus, but it's also having a conjunction with Uranus, and most of the planets right now are in Aries and Pisces. So it's like Uranus and Jupiter, they're in the 10th house, but basically the whole group is in Pisces and Aries. So everything is, I don't know, I think it's going to be a really big upgrade, a lot of activity trying to happen around here. And it may not necessarily happen all at once, because, just I've been following astrology recently, and apparently just because there is just because there's an aspect, we'll call it a conjunction, a sextile, this, that, whatever, right? Just because it's an aspect that happens doesn't mean that it is only influencing this one particular day, this one particular time period. It can affect what's happening, in the long run. So like Pisces like Pluto has gone into the sign of Aquarius, and that's going to affect people for the next like 20 years. There was an aspect that happened with Aries recently that is being called, like Aries is the first house of the zodiac. And so there was an aspect that happened that is calling this from Aries to next Aries, calling it a fire year. Right? And I don't remember what that was, but it's going to be, apparently it's a big thing. And so anyway, I'm just kind of explaining that just because it's something that happens astrologically, it's not just about like that moment. It's something that can trigger longer term events, right? So that's why this thing here, Fortune's wheel, luck and right timing, it's not something that is happening. It's not something that is affecting like just one sign. It's affecting everybody. It's affecting the collective. And that's what this is all talking about right now. Overflow, overwhelm, and plenty. So that's interesting. Overflow and plenty. So, and you can see that light in the background, right? And so this is telling me that there's going to be, overwhelm and plenty. So this is telling me that as there is this upgrade in energy that's happening with people on the planet, right? Like everybody. And mind you, this is a 7, right? This card, 43, it's a 7. And so 4 is a number of stability, right? And 3 is a number of creativity. So even though there can be this, it's like it can be a stabilizing of your creativity, right? 4 to me is the number of the home. And so the home, the physical body is really the home of the spirit. So there's going to be, and 3 is a number of creativity, and it's the kind of the Empress Venus, right? So like, and Venus is about like money, finances, things like that, but also love, beauty. It's all of those things. And talk about overwhelm. Spirit is like on me right now. And this doesn't normally happen when I'm doing readings for the collective. Um, for signs and different things like that. But everybody is here. Like, talk about the collective unconscious. It's like everybody is here. And so this is what they're talking about, in that there can be these periods of overwhelm that happen to us and not knowing really why this is happening. And it's because spirit is like infiltrating us, or like they're bringing us their love, they're bringing us their beauty, they're helping us to love others, and they're helping us to see beauty in all things. Um, and I understand that can be a difficult thing. Spirit is here bringing messages, and I'm like, well, what about war? What about this, that, the other thing, whatever? And they're like, you'll see what's going to happen. So I'm like, okay, we're going to see what's going to happen. Doesn't mean there's going to be an absence of war, but over time, they're saying that there's going to be a loss of appetite for it. So, okay, here we go. That's an interesting message. As you heard it here first, folks. Okay, then. Um, wow, that is an intense, intense message. Wow, that just blew my mind, people. It just blew my mind. um, so yeah, so spirit is like coming in and helping us to heal in a lot of ways. I think that this is like a big kind of like Jupiter, like Uranus kind of an experience going on here. Plus Venus just moved into the sign of Aries as well. Um, and so I think that that is something that's going to trigger a big thing for the planet, really. Um, wow. They're telling me that when Venus wages war on the planet, because Aries is, sign of the warrior, Mars is the planet, is the sign of the warrior, right? The general of the zodiac and all of that. That when she is entering this thing, when she's entering Aries, when she is waging war, she is really demanding about love and peace, and she's demanding things be settled. So I think that is something that is happening in a really big way. So she's not taking any prisoners, is what they're telling me. It doesn't mean that she's going to kill people, but what that means is that there's not going to be anybody unaffected by that. So we'll just see what that's going to mean over the next 20 years, because like I'm being made to feel like this is something that is affecting Pluto, right? And because I think that this is something that is happening from a Scorpio, from a Scorpionic, from a Scorpio um, perspective. And Scorpio is has two ruling planets, Pluto and Mars. So I think that because this is because Venus is coming into Aries, and the ruling planet of that is Mars. And I think it's like somehow or another, like I'm not an astrologer, people, okay? I just know what I'm being told, that this is somehow or another triggering a Scorpio type event. So a death and rebirth, that's the death card, right? And I have a feeling that this is something that is going to affect the planet as a death and rebirth situation, right? Doors closing, new doors opening. And I don't know how Venus is aspecting um, Pluto right now. I don't know how Venus is aspecting Mars right now. That's something that you'll have to look at your chart and see what it is that's happening, and maybe look at some astrology channels and see what's happening with that. I only know what I'm being told. So, so with with the collective, let me just explain something. All right. When I get connected to what you would call God, right? And mind you, I'm not Catholic, right? I work as a psychic, a medium. I channel spirit energy. And when I go looking for God, I do not find a single entity. When I go looking for God, I find all of the souls that have ever passed in one. It looks to me like a swarm, right? So, people will say, oh, well, like, we're all little bits of, we're all little sparks of light of God, right? So I'm feeling like that's probably like a true thing. But when I see this thing, the way that things are manifesting is like, the Buddhists call like things like beginningless time, right? Like, who knows when time first started, right? We're talking before the Big Bang, right? That may be when this universe started, right? But there are other universes. There was time before the Big Bang. And so eventually there was, or previously there was something, right? Like, it's so far ago in the past. Like, I don't know if it was like one entity. I don't know if it was like a group. I don't know how those uh, people got there, right? Entities got there. But those entities, or that entity, had a thought, and that thought became manifest, right? And then eventually it brought in like more people, and then those people started thinking, and those people started manifesting, and then those people started manifesting. And but like, the people in the beginning are still having thoughts, and they're still manifesting. And so it's this whole like wave moving forward. And mind you, thoughts are things. So once an entity has a thought, that thought becomes a whole vibration. It has a whole life of its own, and it keeps moving forward, and it keeps creating, and it keeps creating. And so like, each thought, each manifestation became a thing. And so like, all of those people created other people. And because there was a necessity, for a function. There was a necessity for a person to do this, a necessity for a person to do this, and a necessity for a person to do this. And so those things became manifest. And so now there's this whole swarm of souls. Can you imagine? Just imagine how many souls, how many entities, right? Because when we talk about souls like this, in this way, we're not talking about just souls of people. Right? We're talking about souls of people. We're talking about souls that were animals. Reincarnation is like, we were people, we were animals, we were this, we were that, and energy, we're birds, whatever, right? It's like there's all of this like soul energy out there from everywhere in the universe. So, because they are saying, yes, there are entities who are on other planets in other dimensions, and those other dimensions are still affecting this planet. So all of that energy out there, this figure that look at it, there's this big, huge swarm here, right? And we are just this little planet that is affected by all of this energy. And mind you, this whole energy out here is all about love, right? Now, mind you, the out of manifestation, whatever you put out is what you're going to get back, right? So even though there can be a negative thing that happens or something that you may perceive as being negative, right? Just because you perceive this thing as negative, there's a lesson that is involved in that, right? That lesson, meaning like in a completely simplistic view, be careful what you ask for, right? So if you're wishing hate on somebody and you're wishing evil on somebody, right? That event is going to have consequences. It's going to have a domino effect. And just because you're wishing like anger and hatred on this particular person, that is going to affect you, and it's going to affect other people who are around you. So it's all of that kind of thing going on there. So it really is like, be careful what you ask for, be careful what the energy is that you are putting out there, right? If somebody does something to you, you want retribution, you be careful of that, because that energy is going to put out these thought forms, and it's going to affect other people who are around you. It's going to affect your family. It's going to affect your coworkers. It's going, like, you will affect people because you will infect them with your anger, your rage, your hatred. And it doesn't matter whether they feel it or not. People want to think, oh, um, empath people feel things, right? It doesn't mean people who are not empaths, it doesn't mean that they do not feel things, right? It doesn't mean that they're not affected, right? They may not be aware that they are being affected. They probably understand there's something off with this person, right? You're sitting there like hating on whoever, right? Not really opening your mouth about it, whatever, but you're sitting there stewing, steaming, whatever, right? And you're just kind of your aura, right? It's like you're putting out this vibe, putting out this vibe, putting out this vibe, right? And it's like, you know, your loved ones are around you and they're being affected by that. And they're being infected by that. And it may not necessarily show up now today, but it will show up eventually. And like say you're a woman, right? And you have a child inside of you, right? You're pregnant. That's going to affect the child that is inside of you. So you can be like, oh, I love my child, I love my child, right? But if you're like hating somebody who has done something to you, and then you're sitting there like even like a little bit of anger, right? Like if that baby's in there 9 months, how much anger are you um feeling? Agitation, anger, whatever, right? How much are you like feeding that child over 9 month period? So I'm not saying that, you know, that this kid comes out and, you know, it's going to be this evil monster, right? Because they have their own plan too, right? But it doesn't mean there's not this little like thing sitting inside of them somewhere, right? It depends on how much they themselves are having thoughts about um positive energy, loving somebody, right? Like that, how much energy is going on around them. So there's that. We're just kind of like, not going to go into all the nuances because that's not what we're here for. We're just talking about how the collective unconscious is here and they are here and trying to love us. And because there is this whole huge energy out here that is about love, that is something that is offsetting the the anger and the rage is sitting on the planet. So yeah, there's a whole healing. That's what this is all about, right? That there is a healing that is happening for the whole planet right now. And from this time, like moving forward, right? So so there's that. So people are gonna feel like overwhelmed right now. And it's because there's this love. It says overwhelm and plenty. So universe is trying to bring bounty. They're trying to bring abundance. They're trying to bring this thing that is about like love and like overflow. Like gratitude is when you have an overflow of love, right? That's what gratitude is. It's when you have an overflow. And so that's what it is that's happening here. There's because of whatever the planets are doing, it's like time. Astrology is just a big clock, is what I was taught. And so it's just time for this thing to be taking place. Right. So some of the things that are happening in the sky have not happened for 240 years. Right? So there are some things that have not ever happened. So, we'll see what's going on here. The wall, obstacles. So let me just look at something for 1 second because I'm not 100% sure what this is. 56. The wall. Ah, that makes sense. The wall, obstacles, being inconvenienced by life. That's what we're talking about. Detours, non-action. There are moments in your life when you are so geared up, so sure that you are on track with such drive and such momentum that you are shocked and confused when you encounter a wall. Is that not what we're talking about? Uranus with Jupiter. Uranus is shock and awe and surprise. You're going along, and then all of a sudden you hit this wall, and like, what? Right. This unpredictability. That's Jupiter, right? Jupiter is also related to luck, right? The wheel of fortune, right? Unexpected things happening. So Uranus with Jupiter, this like shock and awe and love about like because Jupiter is about like spirituality. It's not just about like luck and abundance. It's also connected to spirituality. It's connected to education, which is what we're talking about, in that there's a big shock, learning experience going on, all of that. Um, the unpredictability occurs outside of your ability to plan, regardless of if you have done everything right in alignment with the divine. It's imperative that you change your attitude now. This temporary roadblock is not an obstacle to blast through. This is an invitation to, this is not an invitation to push harder, cancel other plans, or worry about who will win or lose. This is a stopping point to enable you to slow down and contemplate the part of the manifesting equation that you and everyone else forgets. Wow. Is that not what we just said? Right. Life on life's terms will override your best laid plans. You as inconvenient as it may seem, oh yes, as inconvenient as this may seem, this experience is an important reminder that you are a human being, not a human doing. Perhaps you're being reminded of your morality, of your mortality, or that you are but a small part in a bigger universe. Is that not what we were just talking about? Can't make this up. I'm just like talking, I'm just telling you what Spirit is telling me, and the cards are lining up in that way. So you're just a smaller part in a bigger universe where your destiny intersects with others. Everybody's connected. That's what we're talking about here, right? What you're putting out is affecting other people. What other people are putting out is affecting you. You are being a part of their manifestation, and they are being a part of your manifestation. So your life may be meant to serve another purpose. At this moment, oh, your life may be meant to serve another purpose at this moment, and your attention meant to be directed elsewhere. Consider that this place of temporary non-action is exactly meant to be for you. Perhaps it's because all you desire and have been and have set in motion needs time to coalesce into form on the other side. Meaning that you want something to be done now, but the universe, and you just thought about this thing that you want, right? But it's because everything around you was put into action, and then it's causing you to have this thought about this thing that needs to be put into action. But then the universe has to set in motion the things that are going to create that thought. That whatever it is that you're, that thought and meaning, whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. So patience is required now. Could it be that all elements are not yet in place for the manifestation to be for the higher good? Patience is required now, and the wisdom that this might be a great time to take a break and contemplate gratitude. Is that not what we just said? We just said that, right? What is truly yours will never be walled off from you. There you go. Whatever is truly yours will not be walled off from you. Wow. Just wow. And the last card is the benefactor, grace and generosity. We will all be the benefactor of grace and generosity. That's what we're talking about, people. That was freaking intense. Sorry, not sorry for my verbiage. Wow. Okay. Wow. My head is still reeling. Wow. That's going to sit with me for a little while.